Good morning, students.
Good morning, sir.
A very good morning.
Good morning.
So, regulation of kidney functioning means how kidneys to be regulating. Regulating in the sense when we will call it as the kidneys regulating. So, when we are maintaining the normal blood volume, right? GFR when we are maintaining, and a normal BP when we are maintaining. So all three will be in normal condition means that's what we can call it as kidneys are normal. So they are not in an abnormal state. So how will maintain all three composition? By active or by passive reabsorption of sodium, chloride and water reabsorption in different kidney tubules to be taking place. In deficiency of this NaCl in the medullary interstitium or in the blood, it may cause a decrease in the BP. So if decrease in the BP condition is there, means how to increase our BP. So that is also done by one mechanism to be done. And for example, if BP will be very high blood pressure is there, means how to control that kidneys. So how they will control or how they will regulate that increased blood volume or increased BP by secretion of some other hormones together, and those hormone secretions may regulate this kidney functioning. How? By decreasing the BP. Sometimes we may suffer from low BP, sometimes we may suffer from high BP. So how these to be well regulated by secretion of different hormones by different glands. Are you getting my point? So this is to be controlled by or regulated by three main important secretions. So first secretion we can call it as ADH, or you can write it in one line, controlled by ADH. You already know that ADH means anti-diuretic hormone. This is very important, you should remember, or we can also call it as vasopressin. It's pressin, vasopressin. This is one mechanism. And second one, controlled by JG. You already know what is meant by JG. JG means what? Hanamandev JG? No. So, juxtaglomerular apparatus. You write it down in bracket. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. What it means when we will call JG? So when both the JG cells, that is juxtaglomerular cells, along with the macula densa cell. Where you will find a macula densa cell? In the DCT region. Where you will find this juxtaglomerular cells? In the afferent region. Between afferent and efferent arteriole, specialized cells you will find. And these two together called JGA, juxtaglomerular apparatus. Are you getting my point? And the third one more, controlled by ANF. ANF means atrial natriuretic factor. You write it down. This is a peptidal hormone. Atrial natriuretic factor. So total overall kidney functions to be regulated by ADH, JGA and ANF. So these three are very important for a main point of view and also for theory point of view, right? We should remember always. So first one by one we'll discuss. So first you write it down in first heading, controlled by ADH. What is that ADH role in regulation of kidney function? You can write it in brackets. A stands for anti or agonist diuretic hormone. Diuretic condition means I've already told you now, when reabsorption of water will be less in the nephric kidney tubules, at that condition water output will be more in the form of urine. or we can also call it as the disease condition as diabetes insipidus, or we can also call it as a diuresis, or we can also call it as a polyuric condition. Polyuria means many times, frequently we are going for urination, the disease condition. Why the disease is caused? Due to this less secretion of ADH hormone. Are you getting my point? So this hormone is secreted by, so especially from, you should remember, secretion from hypothalamus. Previously, we used to call this hypothalamus as a master of muscle gland. Why? Because most of the secretions to be from this hypothalamus only, right? So first it will be secreted by hypothalamus, and through bloodstream, where it reaches, this will reach us to pituitary. Which region of pituitary? Posterior part of pituitary. Posterior region of pituitary. This will reach us to posterior part of pituitary. So posterior part of pituitary will start releasing this hormone into the, especially, bloodstream. So this will reach us to first posterior lobe of pituitary, and then through bloodstream. So this may reach us to kidney tubule, especially this will reach us to DCT and collecting ducts. It may reach us to DCT and collecting duct. What is that used by released hormone will be reaching to DCT and collecting ducts? What it will increase? ADH. What is the role of ADH? ADH will start increases the reabsorption of water. Reabsorption of water will get increased in both the DCT as well as in collecting ducts. So how this will get increased? If any decrease will be there in the reabsorption of water in the kidney tubule, if we are suffering from diuresis or diabetes insipidus, so that will be directly, signals will be reaching to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, how they will get signals? So in hypothalamus, you will find specialized receptors called osmoreceptors. Osmoreceptors, where these are present in the hypothalamus. When they will receive that signals directly coming from the nephron, from different kidney tubules, so this information, when it reaches to hypothalamus, that is to be received by osmoreceptors, immediately it will start releasing more and more ADH into the posterior lobe of pituitary. This posterior lobe of pituitary, we can also call it as neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis. When it released into the neurohypophysis, here specialized cells are called a neurosecretory cell. You have to know those neurosecretory cells, they will start releasing this hormone into the bloodstream. So why are these different organs of the body? This directly blood is reaching to the kidney, where it is reaching to the nephron, where exactly reaching to the DCT and collecting duct, and thereby slowly increasing the reabsorption of water. So by increasing reabsorption of water, once again we will start producing the concentrated urine instead of producing dilute urine. Are you getting my point? So this mechanism you should remember. This is a inhibitory mechanism is also be there, and stimulatory inducing mechanism is also be there. If for example here more reabsorption of water is going on, means we are producing, especially in summer season, so we are producing more concentration of urine. Why? Because of due to this switch on and switch off mechanism. When more concentration takes place again, so that stimulation will be received by this osmoreceptor, and thereby it will slow down the secretion of ADH, and thereby will maintain the normal concentration of urine by moderate reabsorption of water from different kidney tubules. Are you getting my point? How this ADH is increasing the water reabsorption and DCT and collecting that? Are you getting my point? From where it is secreting, where this is reaching, from where? Through bloodstream, where it is reaching once again. This is effector organ, and how this is increasing the water reabsorption. Are you getting my point? This is what regulating the water content in the body, that is to be by increased reabsorption of water in different kidney tubules. So this completes one regulation. And after completion of that regulation, we'll start with the second regulation. You write it down. Second one, regulation or controlled by regulation by JGA. Very interesting this one, JGA. So why JGA? JGA when we will call together juxta glomerular and macula densa cells. Together we can call it as JG. So this macula densa cell, how these are helpful? In that same macula densa region only, you will find another specialized cells called Lossi cells. Do you know Lossi cells? So that will not have that proper function. That's what they have not mentioned that much about the Lossi cells. Are you getting my point? Only thing in the density region, along with this macula densa cell, you will also find Lossi cells. Lossi cells. You should remember. And anyway, when we'll start with this regulation by JGA. So JGA, that is juxtaglomerular apparatus cells. So how they will control this BP or how they will regulate overall kidney functioning. So this JG will be especially released from lungs. Actually, this is in the form of enzyme renin. So don't get confused. That renin is different. This renin is different. What is that? That renin is RENNIN, but this is RENIN. This is a proteolytic enzyme, protein breakdown enzyme. So, for example, if you take in the small infants, so these infants are depends on this mother milk. So, especially that mother milk is constituting rich proteins together. So, these proteins will undergo breakdown process and converts into proteases, peptones, then into amino acids, especially in infants. But in us, in our stomach also, we also have proteolytic enzymes like pepsin. Have you heard that word pepsin? Pepsin is the main proteolytic enzyme present in our stomach, in adults one. But in infants, so that will be, instead of that pepsin, major content you will find this renin. Renin is one of the protein digesting enzyme, or we can also call it as a proteolytic enzyme. Are you getting my point? But you have to differentiate from this renin. This one enzyme is called another enzyme RENIN. When releasing from the lungs and directly through bloodstream, so this will be reaching to the liver first. In liver, so this may convert into hormone by converting one of the plasma protein called angiotensinogen. This is one of the plasma protein. Where the secretion takes place, angiotensinogen, liver. Are you getting my point? So through this liver, through bloodstream, this may enter into the kidney by converting that angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. Then finally it will get converted into angiotensin 2. And now this will be acting as a hormone. And this hormone will have two main important roles after converting angiotensinogen into angiotensin 2 finally. One function of that hormone means this will undergo vasoconstriction. Do you know vasoconstriction means? constriction of blood vessel and thereby it increases BP. Are you getting my point? Thereby vasoconstriction, it can increase BP. Are you getting my point? So there also ADH also will have two main important functions. One function is to regulate the water content. More water is reabsorbing along with the salt mix, that can also increase our BP. Along with that, this GGM can also increase our BP by undergoing vasoconstriction. Are you getting my point? So second role is it also stimulates release of aldosterone. Anyway, this is undergoing vasoconstriction, slowly BP is increasing. Along with that, this will also stimulate the release of aldosterone from where? From adrenal gland. From adrenal gland. Adrenal gland, when it starts releasing the aldosterone, what is that main important role of aldosterone? Aldosterone will increase water, increase the reabsorption of NaCl and water in both DCT as well as in collecting tube. By increasing these two in both the DCT and CT, what will increase? Sodium reabsorption is more, means what will increase in our body? It increases BP. Thereby it increases GBP. Thereby it increases GFR. Are you getting my point? ನಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆ BP ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ತಾವ ನೋಡ್ರಿ. First BP ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿರ್ತದ್ರಿ due to low reabsorption of sodium as well as chloride. That is NaCl sodium reabsorption is less in the kidney tubule. The direct information will be reaching to the brain and thereby so that stimulation is once again reaches to the kidney, especially to the afferent renal arteriole, and thereby releasing of this renin takes place. Actual renin is secreted from this kidney, lungs, and thereby this enzyme will convert the plasma protein from liver. It will get convert angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1, then into angiotensin 2. This angiotensin 2 now it will be acting as a hormone. So by increasing the vasoconstriction, slowly increases BP. Along with that, it stimulates the release of aldosterone from adrenal cortex, especially from oral adrenal gland. If this hormone level will get increased in our bloodstream, especially reaching to the kidney tubules, and thereby aldosterone role is what? Increase the sodium reabsorption in both the kidney tubules, especially in DCT as well as in collecting duct, and thereby it increases slowly BP. BP increases means glomerular blood pressure also increases. If glomerular blood pressure increases, GFR will also come back. If anyone is suffering from low BP, that will be a most dangerous one. I have heard like that low BP is very dangerous than high BP. Why? Because of sometimes kidney failure may take place in continuous low BP patients. Are you getting my point? Why kidney failure? Why? That will not maintain the GFR. What is that GFR? Actually, we have taken in the previous classes 125 ml per minute. I have seen video in previous class. They have shown that GFR will be 125 per minute now. So if it goes on decreases means why this will get decreased due to GBP will be less. Why that GBP will be less? Why? Because overall BP will be less. Why? Because blood volume will also get reduced to the particular kidneys and thereby kidney failure chances will be more. For that reason only, so we should maintain the normal regulation of the kidney functioning by increasing the BP whenever we are suffering from low BP. How we will increase this? By this mechanism. Getting my point? So serial steps you should remember. You can easily explain about this GG apparatus, or you can easily explain about ADH. Two regulations over. And the next third regulation. If both will be increasing BP means whenever we are suffering from high BP, we should control our BP. So by slow downing the BP. Are you getting my point? How this will get decreases BP? By regulation of kidney functioning by this release of ANF. You write it down, third one, regulation by ANF. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್. ಈಗ ಬಿ ಪಿ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕಡಿಮೆ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ? ಬೈ ಸೆಕ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ substance like hormones, non-nutrient chemicals we can commonly call. Third one, regulation by ANF, atrial natriuretic factor. Atrial natriuretic factor. So whenever decrease in BP, whenever we are suffering from decrease in BP, so decrease in BP, in that condition directly signals will be reaching to the heart. Why? Because some receptors are there in the heart, I have already told you, right? So here in the heart, both walls of atria, lined by, underline, lined by atrial myocytes. Underline. Both walls of atria lined by atrial myocytes. And what is that main role of atrial myocytes? If it goes on decreases BP, these cells will get activated and they will start releasing ANF. Releases ANF. Atrial myocytes will release the ANF to decrease the BP. What will happen next after release of ANF? So this may cause vasodilation. Vasodilation means broadening of the blood vessel from narrow to broadening. So if broadening of the blood vessel takes place, means what will happen? It decreases BP. Sorry, this will increase in BP. If we are suffering from increased BP, how to decrease BP? And by vasodilation, it decreases BP. Two mechanisms for increasing BP, one mechanism for decreasing. Or in other words, in NEET examination, in second one, regulation of JJ cells we have taken, in that you write it down in bracket, RAS mechanism, not that RAS. This RAS is different. RAS one move is there, like I told you here, RAS one mechanism is there. They will ask based on this only. Explain RAS mechanism, means you should explain about GJ, right? So RAS in the sense, sometimes abbreviation also they may ask for one more question. So RAS, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. Aldosterone, why we are using here word? Why? Because aldosterone will be increasing sodium reabsorption. By more secretion of aldosterone will increase BP. How? By vasoconstriction. By how vasoconstriction will occur? By more reabsorption of sodium. Sodium intake will go on, increases in kidney table. So that's what. And this one, regulation of this how by ANF means, whenever increased BP is there, wall of atria will start releasing ANF with the help of atrial myocytes, and it will cause vasodilation and thereby decreases BP, thereby decreases what? GBP and thereby GFR. If GFR will be more than normal, it will get decreased by this mechanism. GFR will also be get decreased. All three are very important for your exam point of view. Understood? All three? No problem, very simple. So will increase BP, one will decrease BP. Which one will decrease BP means ANF. Matter with vasodilation. Next to note it down. Another variable. After that, first to note it down, micturition. Later we'll discuss about abnormalities of urine. whenever you will go for this laboratory, first think whatever disease. So either it may be related to kidney or it may be related to liver or whatever may be. First they will go for this collection of urine sample. So what type of disorder? In the Ayurveda system of medicine also, by observing the color of the urine only, they can easily tell what type of disorder you have. So based on that only, some of the abnormalities of the urine they are given. For example, albinuria, ketonuria, glycosuria. You heard like this condition? Hematuria. Sometimes in urine blood may come, albumin, that is proteins may come, amino acids may come, sometimes sugar, that is glucose may come, or ketone bodies may come. So based on that test only, they can confirm that whether the person is having diabetic or not by collection of this urine sample. So those abnormalities we'll discuss in the next class. So before that, the one thing you should remember about micturition and its reflex. This is very important for your exam point of view. Micturition. Next one, micturition. Sometimes they may ask this definition also. For this also definition is there for releasing of urine. Write it down in one line definition. The release of urine from urinary bladder, through water, through urethra is called micturition. This one you should remember. Micturition means the release of urine from urinary bladder through urethra. So how this process will be occurring? In next line, so micturition will have a reflex mechanism. What is that reflex mechanism behind this? So this micturition is controlled by three different types of nerves. So first nerve is called a sympathetic nerve. And second one is called parasympathetic nerve. And the third nerve is called somatic nerve. So these three will be controlling our micturition process. So we'll discuss one by one. So how this sympathetic nerve will control this micturition process? I've already told you that in infants this is completely involuntary. That's what they will use so many. Alright. So this is what especially sympathetic and parasympathetic. This together comes under which nerve system? ANS. Autonomic nervous system. Both comes under sympathetic and parasympathetic. When you take the sympathetic nerve, this we can also call it as nerve of filling. This we can also call it as nerve of filling. The name itself says that. What is meant by nerve of filling? The name itself says that filling will be taking place. It means that urinary bladder is filling with this urine. Are you getting my point? It means that we are not urinating. Understood? Are you getting my point? At that condition, what will happen? When stimulation of this nerve takes place, stimulation of sympathetic nerve, stimulation of sympathetic nerve will involve in constriction of internal sphincter. You already know that. So internal and external sphincters you will find in the urethral opening. So internal sphincter and relaxation of relaxation of. Have you heard this word detrusor muscle? Detrusor muscle. So in first class or in second class while studying that urinary bladder structure, triangle, trigon, have you heard at least? In that has given lined by made up of with this detrusor muscle. So this detrusor muscle will undergo relaxation, but the constriction of internal sphincter takes place while stimulation of this sympathetic nerve. So detrusor muscles of urinary bladder. Don't get confused. Totally note it down. Detrusor muscles of urinary bladder. Here in this condition, what will happen? Now we are not urinating, especially micturition process is not going on. Means that's understood that now internal sphincter constriction is going on, but detrusor muscles are under relaxed current. That's what now urine is filling within our urinary bladder. Are you getting my point? This is opposite. Antagonistic will be this one. Antagonistic in the sense, I will write about this parasympathetic activation. When stimulation of parasympathetic nerve, you write it down. Stimulation of parasympathetic nerve. Stimulation of parasympathetic nerve. When this nerve will get activated, stimulated, immediately what will happen? Constriction of, that is nothing but contraction of bladder muscles. Directly I am writing. I am not writing the detrusor muscle. That's understood. Bladder muscles means detrusor muscles only. Contraction of detrusor muscle or bladder muscles. Contraction of detrusor muscle and relaxation of what? Internal sphincter. Relaxation of internal sphincter. Relaxation of internal sphincter. By relaxation of this internal sphincter, so this may cause what? Releasing of urine. That's what this parasympathetic nerve, we can also call it as nerve of emptying. Nerve of emptying. Emptying in the sense what? This may involve in emptying of the urine from where? From urinary bladder. So this is what we are also calling it as parasympathetic nerve or nerve of emptying. Are you getting my point? This micturition. And one more is remaining. Somatic nerve. Somatic nerve will have tonic contraction. Do you know tonic means? Tonic in the sense this will be acts like a na ghar ka na ghat ka. It means that in general, so this is involving that external sphincter. What is that main important role of this external sphincter? Especially external sphincter is made up of what type of muscles are there in that? Skeletal muscles. That's what I've already told you in adults now. So micturition process is a voluntary, partially voluntary and partially involuntary, but not in infants. Infants completely involuntary. Howdalla? So alaga to sasi yavaglaadru etkolikke hodranದ್ರೆ so AFO anbidtare. So why? Because of that is to be a involuntary. They don't have this conscious That's what. When growth takes place, at that condition, so this tonic contractions will be there, and thereby they can control for some time. Are you getting my point? That controlling will be by tonic contraction of these skeletal muscles or this external spectrum, and thereby voluntarily they can control for some time. This is what by somatic nerve. By stimulation of somatic nerve, this tonic contraction will be there. So first thing is you should remember about the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Negative point. Why that partially voluntary means by tonic contraction, that is to be by stimulation of somatic nerve. Negative point. So this completes the maturation process, right? So we'll stop here only. Next class we'll start with this another very important abnormalities of urine. After completion of that, other excretory organs we have already completed in the previous class itself, and later disorders remaining. Is it or not? So disorder part is very important. After completion of that, hardly in one class we'll complete all these, and in later classes we'll start with this another best nice gorgeous chapter, locomotion and movement. Only 2-3 concepts to be remaining in that, but almost all concepts they have removed this year, especially after completion of that locomotion. Hardly 3 classes I will complete that locomotion and movement. Later we will start with this neural control and coordination. Right? So thank you.